What it do? This your boy Drew Blue. So I just want to break down a little bit about, I guess. So like the beanies I was rocking back then. The Raiders one was kind of a gift, and plus I like black and stuff. It was cool, and I mainly grew up in Vegas for most of my life. So when I do rock Raiders gear, it's kind of like more like showing love to the city I grew up in Vegas, than it is more about showing love to the Raiders. But honestly, ever since seventh grade, I grew up basically a Giants fan. Right now, I'm kind of a reluctant. In fact, I might be protesting, you could say, mainly because I want Dave Gettleman to be fired. Not because he traded Odell, not because he drafted Daniel Jones, but because I don't like, people who set themselves up for failure or for, pretty much to be ridiculed. Damn, the hiccup's crazy. Look, the way he takes media press is the most diabolical thing he could ever do to himself. I mean, he'd be better off having someone represent him. I think the way he carries himself as a GM, I think he is just pure incompetence. Um, the draft day, I could go right there. Um, Now, personally, I wasn't a fan of the Daniel Jones choice. I do think Daniel Jones was worthy of a first round pick, but they could have handled that situation a lot better. In fact, you could see it in the draft war room camera as soon as Daniel Jones was selected. You could see Dave Gettleman pretty much hands on the hip, just kind of blowing off like a regrettable kind of puff. Like he's like, shoot, I made a mistake. And he did because he passed on. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Daniel Jones is going to be a stud. But he could have gotten him and Josh Allen together in the first round. And I'll tell you how. You take Josh Allen at 6. Um, he was saying that there was a team that was for sure was going to take him ahead of 17. Well, then, this is what you do. Instead of wasting the 2 draft picks that you used to get up in the first round and draft a cornerback, very needless when you could have settled back and potentially could have gotten Greedy Williams as consolation. Baker's a stud, but he's not the only great cornerback coming into the draft. You could have used that resource, jumped up a few spots from 17. Maybe you can go up to 13, 12. You know, don't matter. You can make it work. And maybe give up a draft pick from next year. And you would have had Josh Allen, and you could have had Daniel Jones back to back in first rounds. All right, forget Dexter Lawrence. I didn't like that pick at all. In fact, um, if it wasn't for Dave Gettleman taking that linebacker from Wisconsin, I would have said Dexter Lawrence was definitely the pick that I hate the most. I just don't believe in the player now. If he proves me wrong, hey, more power to him, and shame on me for doubting. But I just really didn't see a need for a nose tackle. I really don't. You have Davlin Thomas and you have BJ Hill. You did need a 3 tech. And Lawrence, I mean, I don't see him as that. In fact, they're going to move Davlin Thomason to the edge again. But isn't that the reason why you traded Snacks Harrison? Not just to dump salary, but to move Tomlinson back to where his natural position is. Is pretty much to play, in the middle of that 3-4. I mean, you could have darn near gotten yourself somebody, you know what I mean? Like the guy who went in the, I believe, was it the late second round or the third round? The cat from Wake Forest. That was a hell of a pick from the Cowboys. They had a solid draft. They took 2 guys I liked. Jalen Jelk, the edge rusher from Oregon. They took him in the 7th round. I wanted him. If you would have gotten him to pair with Josh Allen, man, that would have been a stud. And you would have Lorenzo Carter. That's a 3-headed trio you would have had at the pass rushing position. Of course, I like Ricky Walker's from Virginia Tech. That would have been a very good option for the 3 tech. You could have also gotten, like I said, that guy that the Cowboys got either in the 2nd or 3rd round. I forgot his name, from Wake Forest. He was a stud. I mean, the guy was quick. Was just twitchy. You know what I mean? You could say a poor man's version of what's his name, Ed Oliver. But I think they could have definitely waited, because it's just kind of weird, I just didn't think Dexter Lawrence was the 17th best player. You know, he could prove me wrong if he makes the All Pro list for most of his career. Of course, I'm gonna take back what I said, but I definitely think he just didn't handle the draft right. I was fine with Daniel Jones being a first round pick. I just didn't like that how he managed it. Now, granted, if you knew for a fact Denver was gonna take Daniel Jones, and honestly, I could see that's a possibility. You could not find a way to trade up from 17 to 9 and be able to get your quarterback of the future and Josh Allen. Okay, I get it, but I don't think that was the case. And you really had a chance to pull off a sleeper move with Daniel Jones because he wasn't a hot name really. And studying his tape, it was obvious Daniel Jones was gonna be a stud. And I'll say why. People say he looks like Eli Manning and all that. I get it. It bugs me too, but he can play. His tape shows. People want to talk about his completion percentage was under 60% or something like that. Watch the tape. Watch the tape. His receivers, his tight ends, couldn't catch a ball if Daniel Jones was 1 yard away from him. They were dropping balls placed perfectly in their hands. Their hands was made of bricks, stone wall. I mean, it was a damn shame. Like, of course, when your receivers are dropping balls, yeah, your percentage is gonna drop. So yeah, of course that was gonna happen. And lo and behold, people are knocking down on Daniel Jones. But I'm saying the dude can run with the ball in his hands. He's like a really good scrambling quarterback. He can throw the dime. My only big worry about him is, just like with Eli Manning, your build, your physical build. You're athletic. Don't get me wrong. There's no doubt about it. You could run around, but I'm like, I need you to put a little more meat in your legs. I'm not worried about the arm. You can definitely throw the ball, but it's just kind of like protect yourself a bit. And I think going in the weight room with your running back, that might help you a bit with them legs. But I think Baker's a stud. I think he's going to be great. Starting opposite Janoris Jenkins, who I'm surprised why they didn't trade him. That's another issue I had with the draft. Essentially, you got 4 cornerbacks from this draft class, and you spent 6 draft picks on that. Why would you spend 6 draft picks on cornerbacks? Essentially, that's what you did, and you only got 4, really. DeAndre Baker, was he really worth trading all the way up for that when he could have easily fell? Maybe he could have fell to you, and if he didn't fell to you, Greedy Williams would have been available. Like I said, it's not a knock on Baker. It's more about what you could have had for what's the word I'm looking for? Compensation. I just don't think it was worth giving up 2 more roster spots or potentially 2 more guys you could have had playing for other positions that would have been better. Hell, you could have the 1 4th round pick you gave up for. You could have gotten your free safety in the form of Amani Hooker. Yeah, Amani Hooker from Iowa, and that dude can ball as a free safety. Oh hell yeah, I would have been happy having him opposite Jabril Peppers. I would prefer at least him waiting in the wing, maybe learning a year from Antoine Bethea. That would give me a lot more confidence than having nobody right there behind him, because Bethea was a stud, but that was back when he was playing with Eli's brother Peyton as a Colt. Now he's like in his latter age, man, on a decline. So that was just my big thing. I'm like, you definitely needed a free safety was a big issue for me. Pass rusher was as well. They did get O'Shawn Ximenez from the 3rd round, who I wasn't really high on at first, but as I watched his tape afterwards, I'm like, yeah, he's quick. He can get after the ball. He's pretty, savvy with his move like OC. We'll see if he really can translate that and get better in the field, and I really do hope he does. I think that will make it easier to forgive the Josh Allen move, but I'm still hurting about Odell, man. And of course, the Darius Slayton pickup. I'll say this: I missed out on that one. I definitely was checking out receivers. I liked Miles Boykin, even though I know he had some games where he really just disappeared. But Slayton was definitely a consistent throughout, and I'll give Gettleman that. I missed out on that. Um, but honestly, I just do not like the way he handles the media. I mean, you can bluff all you want, but that's just when you lie to yourself about the things you want to do. Like, you know, you just make yourself look like a fraud, and people aren't gonna trust you. I mean, that mistrust is gonna not just spread to the fan base like it already has. I mean, you're trying to fool the media, but really, you're fooling your fan base, you're fooling yourself, and eventually that mistrust is gonna get to the ownership, and soon they're gonna think the same way about you because that's your track record. And I really hate that because I think, honestly, just looking at Gettleman, I feel like he's a down to earth, really cool guy, and I wouldn't want that for him, man. I mean, honestly, when they first signed him over Lewis Riddick, I didn't know much about Lewis Riddick, but I knew about Gettleman, and I thought, looking at him, he's a cool guy, old fashioned, old school, and I rocked with it. And when he took Barkley, he was like, no, we're taking Barkley. I was all in. I wasn't a big fan when he cut DRC, but I understood, even though I wish he would have done something with Janoris Jenkins, but hey, I guess he believed in him, man. You know, I'm not knocking Jenkins, but, you know what? I'm gonna drop the Jenkins thing because he was definitely going through losing his brother in it after that crazy case of him killing him in his home and stuff. I'm not trying to pick on Jenkins, man. Honestly, I hope he gets better. I really do. Now I think about it, man. That he's been through a lot, but business-wise, though, I gotta speak though. He's eating up 12 million in cap space. I just hope he steps it up, man. You know what I mean? And he's taking it like a cool cat with all these cornerbacks in the room because honestly, there wasn't that much need, Corey Ballentine, though, looks like a stud. Now, I don't know how you want to play Corey. I look at him. He's a big dude. He's quick. I don't know if he can do that free safety role. They want to do that with Julian Love. And once again, why are you disrespecting that undrafted free agent you picked up in the form of Grant Haley? I mean, the guy was a stud. I don't know if Gettleman was watching the same games we were, but I think Grant Haley did, really good to pretty much, at least if you were going to have someone to compete with a role like that, have a veteran. Why bring in another young, talented guy unless you want that guy to eventually replace Janoris Jenkins, which would make sense. But, I mean, look, you wasted 6 draft picks for DeAndre Baker, Julian Love, Sam Beal, and what's his name? Corey Ballentine. All right, for 4 cornerbacks, you wasted. I don't have a 6 finger. Let me give my thumb. I can't do that. 6 picks. It just doesn't add up, for value. Because like I said, that's 2 more draft picks. You could have addressed 2 more positions potentially if you wanted to. So, like linebacker, for example. I don't like that 5th round pick at all. That's the worst pick they had on the board. Undisputed. I even forgot his name. I watched this highlight and I could tell, like, for me, it's a big no-no when I don't care if you're blindsided or not. Like, there's a few exceptions when you really are not paying attention and, like Vontaze Burfict getting knocked out by Juju Smith-Schuster, but that's a big receiver. This kid, this stubby, short linebacker, who, by the way, was pretty undersized. I'm not gonna remember that, but he got knocked down by a receiver. I was watching just like a game tape, like every scrimmage play on the 3rd play. He got knocked down by a wide receiver, and the wide receiver was like the slot receiver. It wasn't even big. That's a big no-no for me, man. Like, not at all. And honestly, you drafted him over TJ Edwards, who honestly was the better linebacker on that squad. Straight up. And that's why I didn't like that he waited until the 5th round to address the linebacker position when he could have gotten some good cats like Vontae Joseph out of Florida. That's a hungry cat. And you put him next to a smart linebacker in the middle who can call commands and everything, then you're perfectly fine. But I think maybe they're confident in Tay Davis, and I like Tay Davis too. I just think, like, people talk about, oh, they need to replace BJ Goodson. I'm just like, Nah, I think more likely they need to replace Ogletree in this big cap space that he's eating up. Because I think even Dave Gettleman will admit right now, like, while it was nice to have him for that year, and he had a very couple fortunate plays where the ball went his way, and he had a pick six here and there, Ogletree was definitely more of a liability on that defense as a pass coverage guy, and it showed. So they needed to get better in that position, and I don't think they got better. But like I said, I think Tate Davis could be the future. You know, he was a rookie. He was trying to find out. He was just trying to figure out what the heck was going on. You know, I think the game was definitely fast for him. But I watched his talent in the preseason. I really liked what he brought. I think personally, if he goes out there and, you know, a year of experience under his belt, I think he will exceed. Man, I'm pretty sure right now there's a training camp battle between him and Goodson. So if he ends up winning that and Goodson has to sit on the bench, I'm just gonna be eyebrows up and be wondering, why didn't you find someone to pair with Tate Davis? Because, like I said, Ogletree is not worth that much cap space, man. Not at all. Not especially when you could have gotten a young stud to play alongside him. And I'm telling you, that linebacker they got in the 5th round, that's not it. He wasn't even the best linebacker on his college team available. Forget best linebacker available in that draft class. So I think that was a miss right there. I think getting one too many cornerbacks was a big no-no for me, unless one of them turns out to be a good free safety, and I'm hoping that's going to be Court. I like Court because he's big, flashy, and I think he can hit. So I want to see him be moved to free safety because I think he can be a stud. I like Court. I personally like him. I don't mind him. And, you know, I didn't mind taking Julian Love in the 4th round. The Baker pick, I know Baker's a stud, but you gave up, I don't know, I don't think that was worth it. Like I said, for what you could have gotten if you would have stayed put at 37, you could have gotten greedy. I just didn't think it was worth it. Like I said, I would have definitely given up those 2 picks if it was to move up from 17 a few spots up to guarantee me Daniel Jones while still being able to take Josh Allen to 6. I would be down for that. But, hey. I was definitely mad when he traded Odell. Like, seriously mad, because let's face it, I don't care what the small-minded simpletons say. Oh, we didn't win much game with Odell. It's a team game. You could say that same thing about Eli Manning. You could say the same thing about Saquon Barkley. You could say whatever. You know what I mean? I'm going to put it this way. Like, it's a team game no matter what. So people trying to be positive and using that as an excuse of why that was a good trade, you guys are foolish. Odell Beckham was a generational talent. Like, this dude was the second coming of Jerry Rice. In fact, he could have, and I think all said and done, I think he will break all of, if not most of Jerry Rice's receiving records, if they are not broken already by somebody else. I think Odell will be the a leader in all categories, so for like receiving, when he hangs up his cleats, bearing any injuries, of course. I know that's a big issue too. Like, injuries has hampered Odell. I mean, it cost him most of his 2017 season with that freak injury. Is, of course, his infamous Achilles back in his rookie year when he missed his first 4 games. And last year when he was still a Giant. That breaks my heart saying that. And he missed the last couple of games. I thought it was pretty shady for Shermer to not let him travel with the team. I think that was really shady on him as a head coach, especially when you're a people's guy. I thought you would understand. There has to be a damn good reason for that. Lights shut down on me. Hold on. There we go. So I'm definitely eyebrow raised on Shermer for that. You know what I mean? But I just think overall his treatment in New York, I don't think it was fair at all. I get it, though, the talent that he carries. You know, he was basically a Jerry Rice for New York. You would want him to do better because he really is that amazing of a talent. But I still think, though, you know, we really need to kind of relax on how much we expect of people like that. I get it, leaders are supposed to be leaders and all that. And of course, that video with that chick, even though, people were pointing out negatives and whatever. Look, I'm not here to defend him. If he did those things, that's stupid for him to not have that female that he was messing with sign a prenup. For those who don't know what a prenup is, that's a disclosure to not put out anything that you do, out in public, like no recording or nothing. Should have done that. That's a typical protocol for all athletes. But regardless, I don't care. That's his life. He does what he wants to. You're supposed to keep it kind of confidential if you're doing anything that shouldn't be put out there. But at the end of the day, guys are always gonna get with females. It's just a drugs thing. That's the NFL protocol thing. I think Odell's a good cat, though. I don't think he would mess with stuff like that. But I'm not saying he's perfect either. I just think it was really unfair, Of course, that's New York for you, but they really screwed up with this one because it could have been worked out. It really could have been, You could have had Odell sit with Derek Jeter. You really could have. I mean, I don't think that has ever happened yet. Like, was there ever a time when Odell was still with the Giants? Has he sat down with a legend like Derek Jeter and just really kind of like understood how to handle New York? Because, I mean, Jeter got all the love, and the Yankees definitely treated him right. So, my question is, why couldn't the New York football Giants do the same for Odell? I think Mr. Mara should have shown much more support for Odell. At least do this, Mr. Mara. Like, if you would have, explained your, like, if you had your differences with Odell, would just keep it behind closed doors, like how it always was with the Coughlin time, like old-fashioned days. Any issues, it was behind. It was within the clubhouse, never put out. Everyone kept their mouth shut. Like, you could have easily closed the door, have a private meeting with him, say nothing to the media, and just support him 100%. At the same time, whatever you have any resentments for what he does, you tell him, but privately, no one has to know. Then this way, the media would have no kind of fire to show any kind of separation between Odell and you, and it would have been a very peaceful kind of like, marriage. And I'm pretty sure Odell wouldn't yap his mouth like that. I don't think he would be that foolish. Yeah, he's definitely a guy that wears his heart on his sleeves, and that's one of the biggest misunderstandings people have. People who wear a heart on their sleeves, they think are selfish or whatever. Like, when you are out there steaming and mad because you can't do nothing to help your team to win a game, that's just passion, 100%. If I'm mad that I couldn't do something, oh hell yeah, I'm blowing off steam and whatever. Now, what I would have done if I was on the sideline with Odell, if you don't like what you're seeing, get him back to being motivated. Don't tell him to calm down. If I'm Eli, hey Odell, come over here real quick. I got you. Come over here. Just trust me. Just chill over there, sit in the corner. Boom. 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 Just keep throwing balls at him. At least you keep because his hands are hungry. If you keep his hands, give him some appetizers here and there. You know what I mean? Keep his hands warm, so that way you don't feel cold. That way, when you actually do throw him the ball, when it matters, when it's on the plate, I think he would definitely be comfortable. Because I used to do that. Every time when I go play recess, like, I barely get the ball thrown at me. Of course, I'm like, I want to do something to help my team be on top, even though the games don't matter. It's cool. Usually, I'll find a friend, toss the ball at me, keep tossing balls at me, or I'll just toss the ball all the way up in the air and catch it. Of course, you can't do that over there. It's a public setting, but that's what I would have done. Have him sit on the field, the turf, all the way at the corner, and hey, give the fans even what they paid for their money, man. If Eli don't want to do it, have the backup quarterback do it. I mean, shoot. Keep his hands satisfied. If he's feeling the ball, that's all that matters. Just tell him you gotta keep your hands warm because you never know, the ball might come next to your way, and he'll be prepared. So I think that's what I would have done. And Odell's a reasonable dude. He may be heated at the moment, but if you shoot reasonable things in his head, he's gonna listen. I'm the same way. So like those who really are saying that, oh, he's selfish and whatever, they're either misguided, they're told the wrong information, or they're just, what's the word I'm looking for? A bunch of ingrates, you know? They're just picking a bone with Odell for no reason, and really they're just full of hatred. But much blessings to everyone, man. You know what I mean? I think I still do respect Mr. Mara. I think it's good to be conservative. I've always respected him for that, but it's just these last outings, these last couple of ways how he handled Odell. Like I said, it's not out of control on Odell. It's out of control on him because, like I said, he didn't handle situations right. He kind of went out in a wimpy status, if I could say that. It was very wimpy. I mean, especially when, like, that little thing that he had with what's his name? When Kraft got busted and someone tried to interview the other owner, Steve Tisch, and he goes like, "I thought we discussed that we weren't gonna talk about that." Like, Mr. Mara, you gotta keep things behind closed doors. You can't let the media hear that. If you got feelings, you can talk to them, but do it behind closed doors. Just express it like that, and at the end of the day, you show the media that this is family. Like, it's just how it is. That's how I am with my family. I could have a disagreement with my mom, my dad, my brother, but at the end of the day, say someone hears us arguing, it's okay. Someone wants to say, "Oh, are you okay?" I'm like, this is between me and my parents. We're all okay. At the end of the day, that's my family. I love them. They love me. We're gonna talk it out, hash it out. Sometimes we may get angry, but we'll always see eye to eye. You know what I mean? But of course, I wouldn't say that if I'm a GM or an owner in front of the media. I'm gonna tell them that. Nope. I'm just gonna keep denying what they say. It's like I support my player 100%. I know what he's capable of. I know, just speak good. Just continue to speak good of your players. And if you have any problems with them, let them know face to face. They'll have respect for you for that. And I think Odell would have been a lot better. And I think the tenure with the Giants would have been a lot more smooth and relaxing if you would have had those moments. And you could say you tried, but honestly, Mr. Mara, I don't think you tried enough. I really didn't. But I do still believe in you. I do believe that you are a man capable of doing that. I just hope that one day you are partnered with someone that can give you the maturity to do that. And I think Mr. Reese had that. Unfortunately, he just wasn't competent with his draft picks. I'm not going to get there. The Michael Thomas one bugs me the most. For the record, I would have taken Michael Thomas in the first round, and I would have taken Sterling Shepard in the second. I still like Sterling. He's good. But I definitely would have kept Michael Thomas, man. Or take Larry Tunsil. Trade up in the second round. Use that second round pick you have on Michael Thomas. That way the Saints don't get him. Jump ahead of the Saints. And then get Sterling Shepard. I would have done that. If they would have walked out with just those three players and not drafted anybody else, I would have been okay with it. But no, I think this organization won't be far. That's the only thing I regret the most is you put all your chips into Daniel Jones. I really didn't think they were gonna go all the way into a franchise quarterback like that, unless like they had an opportunity to sneak in and trade up, which would have been a much more ideal move. But, I just think giving him a number one receiver to throw the ball, I think that's the one thing I think they're going to regret the most. But, of course, good quarterbacks will do great. No. Great quarterbacks will do fantastic, and they'll be fine with, a carousel receiver corps, So, you got Sterling. Sterling's still there, and I know Barkley's definitely got him looking better. I mean, the dude is probably going to be on another level this year, especially with Odell gone. You got Cody Latimer. That guy can make some big-time plays. I've always liked him. Cody, not Cody, Corey Coleman. If he doesn't end up being the third receiver, he's still gonna be a valuable fourth receiver and main kick return. So he still has value. Um, Darius Slayton, hey, he's 6'1", 190, quick, flashy, can make cuts. He's essentially, your for now, he's your bargain deal for that Odell Beckham you don't no longer have. But I'm interested to see where he's gonna go with his career because the man definitely has a lot of potential. Um, really smooth, man. But look, I just think they need to find someone young and have them groom behind Dave Gettleman because I think Dave Gettleman is a solid guy, but I think it's just too little too late for him to be the GM for the Giants. I know he's been wanting to do that for a long time, and I think he should have definitely gotten that before. Who knows? Maybe if he was the GM instead of Reese, maybe the Giants would have a lot more rings under the bag. Who knows? I really think that could have been possible because Gettleman does not, like I said, rarely does he miss. If it's a pick that he misses on, it's a pick that I don't like. And I know this draft class, I'm not a big fan of it. Um, of course, I think he panicked throughout the whole draft class. That's why I'm thinking like it's just too little, too late. But I think Dave Gettleman in his prime, when he was definitely like 10 years younger, I think he would have been a solid GM. But the man's got 30 years of experience, so I say, while he's still alive, um, get someone young and have them just soaking in everything they can from Dave Gettleman. Learn from him. Have him be groomed into the next GM because I promise you, they're going to be a fine team to watch. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they have dynasties with Daniel Jones leading them. It wouldn't surprise me. So, although saying that he's a bust, I'll tell you this right now. Unless Daniel Jones gets hurt, he's not going to be a bust. No. I just hope he puts on more muscles in his legs. So that way I don't have to worry about your legs snapping, man. But hey, if you hold yourself up like Tom Brady for 20 years, I got nothing to complain, man. Ball out there and let them keep booing you. They're booing the wrong person. They gotta boo Gettleman like how I'm doing it. Boo. But yeah, that's about it, man. It's your boy Drew Boots signing out. Just want to let y'all know, yeah, it's not easy leaving a team, especially when you're rooting them for years. After that breakdown, I mean, the worst game I've ever seen in my life back in the year 2010. Oh, trust me, anyone that was still a Giants fan after that game, you cannot question their loyalty. Don't care. All those old school Giants fans saying, oh, 90s, 70s, 1970s, this, blah, blah, blah. I hear you. It's one thing when you just suck. At least you know you suck. It's another thing when you're really good and you just keep shooting yourself in the foot. That hurts. All right? I'd rather be the guy that ends up being the 40-year-old version than the guy that ends up being with, 5 different hotties and walk in with somebody else having their nuts hanging out. You get where I'm getting at? Anyways, yeah, that's all I gotta say. I've been watching too many Hodge Twins. That's why I said what I said, but yeah, man. We'll see, man. We'll see. I love blue. Like I said, blue is my favorite color. So for me to walk away from the Giants, it'll be tough. We'll see, man. I'm gonna eventually keep watching their games. It's just I needed a month or two break. Kind of like I haven't been following their news or nothing like that. Just kind of like avoid the reports and stuff. Kind of been like keeping my distance because I really wasn't a big fan of the moves they made in the offseason at first. Definitely was heartbroken when they traded Odell. Was infuriated with Gettleman's mishandling of the draft, and honestly, I just don't like. But one thing I know for sure with the calm mentality, he he has to cut through. It really does. And, obviously he needs more than a couple years because he definitely inherited a mess of a roster from Jerry Reese. I mean, Jerry Reese was basically on a Titanic ship, and Gettleman had to bail the Giants out with that little boat. I get it, but you can't panic. Like, you can't panic like that, and most of all, you cannot go against your own philosophy. You know what I mean? You can't have a change of heart unless it's for the damn good reason, and you're not gonna pull a move like that. But I think Daniel Jones was definitely he. If you had no choice but to take Daniel Jones at 6, you did the right thing. I just think you could have if you didn't try out the other options and you just said, nah, I'm just gonna stick at getting Daniel Jones at 6, you are very, very incompetent. There's no other words I can say, man. Because you should consider other options and not panic like you did. That's not what a really good GM would do. You know what I mean? But that's all I gotta say. It's 36 minutes. It's your boy Drew Blue signing out. Have a good one, y'all.